Welcome to the Geek, the History Geek. I'm Mr. Hodges. If you surveyed Americans and asked them who was responsible for sewing the first flag of the United States, the unanimous answer would be Betsy Ross. She became a well-known patriotic icon during the late 1800s. She has been credited with designing the first U.S. flag and sewing that first flag, as well as coming up with the name the United States of America. But who is she? Why was she chosen to make the flag? And is this story a fact or is it a myth? Stay with me as we get to know the story of Betsy Ross and the first U.S. flag. Time to suit up. Wow, nice. Looks like we needed a little more historical power for this one. Betsy Ross was born in January of 1752. Her real name was Elizabeth Griscom. She was raised as a member of the Quaker religion and was educated in a Quaker Friends public school where she was taught reading and writing and also training for a future job. Now, it is believed that it was through this training where she learned how to sew, and she would complete her training by being apprenticed to William Webster, a Philadelphia upholsterer. Now, upholsterers during the colonial period did many types of sewing jobs, including things like covers for furniture such as sofas and chairs, making mattresses and window blinds, and, well, even different things for the shipping community such as flags. It was here that she met and fell in love with a fellow apprentice, John Ross. He was an Episcopalian and she was a Quaker, and her marriage to John caused her to be cut off emotionally and economically from her family, her former friends, and her church. Because of this split, they would marry in New Jersey and then start their own upholstery business there in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She would attend Christ Church in Philadelphia with her husband. This is the same church where many famous patriots would also attend, such as Robert Morris and Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Rush, Francis Hopkinson, and even George Washington when he was in town. Interestingly, George Washington's pew was adjacent to the pew the Rosses sat in. In early 1776, her husband, John Ross, would die, leaving Betsy a widow and with the upholstery business that they had started. With the start of the war, many goods were hard to come by and business was slow. She would be willing to do any work offered her to keep the business running. According to affidavits done during the 1870s by a child, a niece, and a granddaughter, all of Betsy Ross, all were told stories as they were growing up about how she made the first Star-Spangled Banner. According to each of the separate affidavits, General Washington, working with the Congressional Flag Committee, met at her house. Washington knew her from church and her work because of some previous embroidery work she had done for him on a shirt. The Congressional Flag Committee, with General Washington, asked her if she could make a flag. They showed her a rough sketch. The flag, in the sketch, was to be square, and the stars were scattered randomly across the blue field. According to the story, she made at least 2 suggestions. Now, please remember that as an upholsterer, she would have had some experience with flags made for ships that came to port. The first suggestion was to make the flag a rectangle because flags were typically 1/3 longer than their width. She also suggested that the stars be 5-pointed rather than 6 and organized either in lines or in some form, well, like a circle, for instance. Working closely with the general, it appears that that idea must have made an impression and the flag was sewn by that design. So what do we know for sure? Well, first of all, there is only one receipt that still exists for any of the flags that Betsy Ross made. We do know that she did make flags for the U.S. government and did so for over 50 years. However, there is no evidence that she made the first flag. Did she design the flag? Well, we really can't be sure. Francis Hopkinson, it appears, turned in an invoice to the Congress for designing the flag. While payment was denied by the Congress, because they said he wasn't the only one that did the design, his flag is much closer to what we would see. However, his stars were organized differently and were 6-pointed and not the 5-pointed that we're used to seeing and that are still in use today. His flag seemed to use the design of Washington's personal standard as the commander-in-chief for the blue field. What is clear is that he did not do the final design of the famous flag that we know. Plus, based on the affidavits, the Congressional Committee did have a sketch when they came to talk to Betsy about making a flag. When trying to determine if Betsy Ross designed the flag, it seems unlikely that she did the design by herself. However, it appears that she may have given them some ideas that were used in the final design. So is it a fact or is it fiction? Truthfully, we do not know. For more on the first flag, I would suggest watching my video on Flag Day. There was another part of the story about Betsy Ross, although not flag-related. Did she come up with the name for our country as the myth has alleged? Well, many scholars have concluded that the originator of the use of the United States of America was actually Thomas Jefferson. This was used in his heading on the rough draft of the Declaration of Independence. So that is one Betsy Ross myth that is busted. So did Betsy Ross sew the first flag? Or did patriotic fervor of the late 1800s present us a story that is all myth? The story is that we really do not have definite proof. I would like to believe that George Washington and the Congressional Committee chose to help a widow that was a supporter of the patriot cause and that was trying to make an honest living. While there is no definitive written proof, based on affidavits, she was likely responsible for making suggestions on the final design and for sewing a flag for General Washington. In this way, as a woman, she contributed in her own way to the cause of independence for her nation. I believe that that is a story that we can all definitely get behind. In the end, until we have better evidence, you will have to decide for yourself what to believe. I urge you to do more research about this amazing American woman. Well, that's it for this edition of Did You Know? If you like this video, please vote for more history by giving it a like, and be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for notifications for future videos. Well, until next time, when I ask the question, did you know? I am Mr. Hodges, and this is the History Geek.